other.
Have you smelled that thing?
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. The aroma is like. Okay, ready?
Ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready.
We'll start us off.
Okay. I'm Lee from the Oshkosh Beer Blog.
I'm Adam from the Rubial Tap Room.
And this week we have beer from
Lagunitas
Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Of,
Petaluma and
Petaluma, California, Chicago, Illinois,
and now
and they're building a brewery just east of Los Angeles.
Okay.
That's supposed to be up and running by 2017. And so
Wow.
the Chicago thing, we had a comment from Cullen Dunn, who's an assistant brewmaster here at Fox River Brewing Company in Oshkosh, and he said, one of our former assistants, John, does filtration at the new facility in Chicago. That place is ridiculously huge. Well, that's the biggest. They come in there. They're the biggest craft brewery in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like that.
well, cheers, first of all.
Yeah. Gross.
No, I know, but one thing that just kind of off the top, that Lagunitas quality is unwavering despite their size.
Yeah. Well, and they're huge. I mean, last year, 2015, they did something like 900,000 barrels. So this year they'll be over 1 million barrels.
Wow.
And they were the 6th largest craft brewer, according to the Brewers Association, but they won't be on that list next year.
Because they're too big.
Yeah.
What's
not
the
too
cap?
big, because
Or the
a
interest?
year ago, Heineken bought
Okay.
50% of this brewery.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that automatically boots them off of the craft beer list.
Do you think that's fair?
Well, I mean, I can understand what the Brewers Association is doing because they're representing independent breweries. I
Yeah.
mean, they're basically a lobbying organization, you know. So in that respect, it's fair. I mean, to say something is craft or not craft, though, I don't think that's fair at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really arbitrary, and you know, I could see them not having them be part of that organization
Sure,
anymore.
because they have different interests in the kind of the more conglomerates. The
Yeah, I mean, there's 4,000 some breweries out there now.
Yeah.
And they're not this size. They need representation, you know, and a
They need
company
all the
like,
help they can get.
Yeah, a company like this really
Heineken has no
doesn't.
trouble getting their beer out there and
Yeah.
making money. And
But today, we have Stoopid Wit.
Stoopid Wit. So all I could find was that it was kind of like a Belgian style-ish.
Yeah.
Wit. I mean, they're not committing to calling it a Belgian style wit, but plenty of hops as well.
They're calling it a wit beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, what they tried to do apparently was, you know, Belgian style wit beers are traditionally spiced with like coriander or
Sure.
orange peel,
Yeah.
you know. They decided to skip the spicing and try to accomplish that spicing with hops.
Really?
Yeah. So they have a wit beer base. There's unmalted wheat in there, but then they just hop the living shit out of it.
Yeah.
You know? It's got
Yeah.
that kind of what you'd expect from Lagunitas. you
Yeah.
know? Big hop aroma.
The aroma is fantastic though, because you get it's kind of mission accomplished in the aroma a little bit.
It's
I mean,
awesome. And the aroma to me is almost like sort of like shortcake in a way.
Okay.
You know, with some kind of like tangerine
So
in there too.
The types of hops that Lagunitas likes to use, I would think, are not necessarily the types of hops where you get spice.
No, and I don't get spice. at
Well,
all.
yeah. I mean, you'd think those would have to be kind of more noble hops.
Yeah.
And I'm sure what they're using is, you know, all the high alpha, like the Citras and the Mosaics. And,
Yeah, I would think there's maybe Simcoe in here. It's got like that orangey kind of thing you expect from you know, a wit beer that might have orange peel in it or
Yeah.
something like that. But beyond that, I don't think it's a wit beer by any stretch. of
No,
the
I mean, it does
imagination.
have a little something on the finish, a little like kind of phenolic.
Yeah, there's some of that
thing.
yeast character.
Yeah.
But it has none of that softness that you kind of
Yeah.
expect from a wit beer. I mean, it's a good beer, but
No, it is. It's very good. I like it, but it's kind of like Sierra Nevada in a way where everything is hopped like crazy. You know, that's just kind of their thing. But it is interesting. I mean, it's not an IPA. I mean, it has some unique flavor characteristics. So
I mean, it's a tasty beer. It's 6.3% ABV.
Okay.
I don't know what the IBUs are on it, but they're
I
up
think it's
there.
around like the 60 range.
Yeah. I mean, it's not especially bitter,
No.
but the hop flavor is really nice.
Yeah.
Usually, I don't care for those more phenolic types of Belgian yeast with American hops like this, but it kind of works here.
Yeah.
I don't know that this isn't like my style. I don't know that
Yeah.
I drink this a lot, but
Yeah.
it's good. It's
Yeah.
good. So I have a question for you. When we put out there that we were going to do a Lagunitas beer last
Yeah.
week, we got some feedback, and I want to I want to talk about that a little bit. So Wyward Sun wrote in, isn't Lagunitas on the no-fly beer list owned by Heineken? And then Adam Sauer replied to that, so sick of crap lists like this. If I start seeing a drop-off in Lagunitas quality, I'll stop drinking it.
Well, I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, when Goose Island Bourbon County Stout comes out every year, they have no trouble selling it. You know, if it went way downhill and they changed it, I think that would be an issue. But
I think those two comments represent both sides of it.
Yeah.
We got into this a little bit last week with when we were talking about New Glarus. It's as though, you know, I can understand that you want to direct your dollars towards smaller businesses, and that's I have to admit that's a viewpoint I sympathize with. I mean,
I agree.
For me, if I'm out there and I see, you know, a local small brewer next to something owned by AB InBev, who I particularly despise, I'm going to go for that small brewer, all things being equal.
Yeah.
You know? But you're in a bit of a different situation.
Yeah.
Because you buy beer to sell people for a living.
exactly, and Lagunitas is one that really, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. As soon as you put it on the shelf or put it on tap, it always sells. And generally, the quality is extremely high. And their IPAs, which is the largest segment of craft beer. So I mean, there's a lot to like. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, if you look at it from a dollars and cents point of view, you know, it doesn't really factor in that they're owned by Heineken to me.
And that's really what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they're not really owned by Heineken. Heineken
Well,
has a 50%
in interest,
share.
yes.
And
Yeah.
Brian Gelhaus, who works for Beechwood, is that?
Yeah.
And which distributes Lagunitas in this area, said that, told us that Heineken has no say in their U.S. operation. And I know that was what was coming out of that whole deal when it was announced that Heineken was buying into it. And it doesn't seem like they've changed.
You think that's true?
No, I don't think it's true. I mean, to say Heineken definitely has their hands.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you don't make that. I'm sure it was many millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You don't make an investment like that and just say, okay, you know, you see it in all different types of the liquor world where, you know, big conglomerates make an investment and try to squeeze every last penny and drop out of it because that's what they do. So,
And the thing about this is too, I mean, these things are kind of on a continuum. You know, what AB InBev does is quite different than probably what somebody like Heineken does. Because compared to them, Heineken's a small brewery.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just doesn't quite compare. And it would be a real mistake for them to come in and start messing with these guys.
Oh, exactly.
You know? But, so, when you're buying beer for sale, either here at the Ruby or at Gardina's for retail, you know, package sale, does this come into the equation at all?
Sometimes it does. I mean, it depends on the stature of the brand. You know, Lagunitas and the Goose Island, like I talked about, you know, those are pretty bulletproof. But you know, you talk about some of the smaller brands that have been acquired by InBev, like Four Peaks out of Scottsdale. You know, their beer is supposed to be rolling out in the market fairly soon, and you know, brands that are of that size, that don't have any track record in the market, I don't know. I mean, I kind of question it. So.
Do you hear it much from people? Do they talk about it? Like
the real you know, craft beer heads do. They'll say, you know, man, that's you know, that's owned by AB InBev or Miller Coors or what have you. So, and they might be saying that as they're checking out, as they're buying that product, but they're, you know, I think a lot of people do know.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard to, if you really love a beer and all of a sudden it's purchased, you know, it's hard to just turn your back on that.
Going back to Bourbon County, I mean, that's the ultimate, you know, these guys talking out of both sides of their mouth because there isn't a single person who enjoys craft beer, well, for the most part, and you might be excluded from that list, but
I don't enjoy craft beer.
that will turn their nose up at Goose Island Bourbon County Stout.
But it is kind of interesting what they've done with the other Goose Island brands.
Yeah.
Because I think there's been some drift there.
Oh,
It seems like it's going back towards
like 312 and
Yeah.
No, I mean that I agree. They need beers that'll drive everything else. So
I don't know that you could do that with a brand like Lagunitas though, because their beers are so kind of specific. Really like bold hop flavors.
Yep.
And they tend to be strong. I mean, 6.3%. That's for them. That's a session beer. That's a smaller beer. You know.
No kidding.
I mean, you think of something like Lagunitas sucks.
They're like 8.5%.
Yeah, they're big. They're big beers.
And they sell it in 32-ounce bottles.
Well, yeah, that was always weird.
That was a weird experiment. That ended quickly, I saw.
No, they're not doing it at all
I don't
anymore.
think so. Well, no, they're still doing sucks. They're just doing 6-packs
No,
now.
no.
Not in the 32 ounce.
It was like a weird, like that old like,
Yeah.
1960s bottle that, that Potosi would come in or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm
I don't know.
enjoying this one.
Yeah, this is a nice beer.
Okay, Ed.
We done?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Cheers.
Prost.